Hey folks, welcome back. I'm David and we're here in my shop where I build E-War guitars. This is going to be the second video in this series I've got going on how to build an electric guitar. Now in this series I'm taking the building process of a guitar and I'm going through step by step everything from the initial design on paper through the construction of the guitar into the finishing and then the final setup. So there's going to be quite a few videos in this series. And I'm going into great detail showing all the steps, and I'm really trying to show the ups and downs and all the ins and outs of what it takes to actually build a guitar. So in the first video of this series, the last one I just did last week, we designed the neck and the pickups, bridge layout and all that stuff, all the working bits of the guitar. And in this video we're going to get into, well, first I've got a few things to tidy up on the neck construction of the guitar, the pickup layout and stuff. I got a little tweaking to do on it. Then we're going to get into designing the body and doing a layout on that and discussing all that's involved in that. Anyway, I hope you all get something out of it, and I'm enjoying doing it, and I hope you dig it. And if you do dig it, how about you give me a like and subscribe. Anyway, let's get going with the video. Okay. New day, new shirt, and back at this design. So something I noticed, my pickups were slightly shifted over just about a 32nd of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw those. So my pickup cavity, my routing cavity for the pickup is 3.5 inches wide. So I went ahead and set my calipers at 1 3/4 inches, which is exactly half. When I came from the center, I went ahead and marked that way. And I went ahead and marked that way. And so now I'm going to erase these. The top and bottom is fine. That worked out just fine. But I've got to change these ends just a little bit because it's really easy to change it on paper. And it's not very easy to change it once you cut a hole in the guitar. So we're going to go ahead and take a second right now and straighten this out. I'm constantly checking behind me to make sure what I'm doing lays out right. You know, it's kind of hard to see sometimes when you're laying stuff out to see just how good you're doing when you're using a center line on a template. Oops, wrong side. Center line on a template and getting it lined up right. So this is how I check myself, and I just go back and I redraw it. So we'll drop this guy in there, line it up on the two parallel lines. That looks good. And redraw it. Because this is what we're going to use to cut out our pickups. So we want this to be as absolutely accurate as possible. And now I think it is. That looks good. Now I'm just going to recheck it one more time, just to be sure. Go ahead and check my measurement on this. 1 3/4 inches. That is dead on there, dead on, and dead on right there too. Nice. That'll work really good. Okay, so another thing I want to do is I laid my headstock up here, and it is on the center line, but this where it ties in here, I'm just going to kind of draw that in by hand, and I'll actually wind up cutting that by hand in this area, but I just want to get the lines to blend together nice. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that guy in. I'm going to come over here. This one's going to have to curve just a little bit different. You know what I may do? I may get my little French curve. I use these guys all the time for this type of thing. That looks really good. Better get a little lead out. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let me just check the curve in this other guy here too. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do that. Yep. Okay. I think that looks definitely good. So let's see. What do we have to do? Oh, I need to go ahead and mark the centers of my bridge. So I'm going to shut this off for a second. I'm going to go and pull up, because I'm not going to trust myself measuring inside those holes. I'm going to pull up the documentation on the website and see what that center is. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to mark my centers on my bridge hole. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the bridge post spacing is 2 and 29/32, center to center on the 2 post. Of course, half of that is 1 and a large 15/32. So I went ahead and set my calipers to that. And I'm just going to come up here. Now I'm on the angled line, because remember we set that at a 3-degree angle. So I'm going to just do that guy right there. Get my pencil and mark it. That's 1 hole. I'm going to come over here, going back to the center again. So there is my 2 post spaces on that. And then, so the tailpiece is 3 and 7/32. Now, the tailpiece, I'm actually going to set this, I'm going to set this back here somewhere. The last one I did, it was about 1 inch and 3/4 off of the face. Well, let me tell you what I do. So, the bridge is about 9/16 of an inch in height, okay? My goal is to set the tailpiece back far enough that the break angle coming off of the top of the saddles puts my strings at roughly 12 or 13 degrees, which is what my headstock is going to be tilted. I don't know if that really matters, but I just try to keep the break angle the same. So in doing that on the last Tune-O-Matic style bridge I did, I set it back from center to center about 1 3/4 inches, and that seemed like that was a pretty good distance. So I'm just going to mark that on this just to have it. I won't actually drill any of those holes till the body's built and everything, and I could lay it out physically on the actual body itself. But I'm going to go ahead and for now and mark it like this, and then we'll see what it winds up being in the end. So I need to come back 1 3/4. Okay. So that is going to be my center line. Now the bridge is set on an angle, but the tailpiece is just set perpendicular to the center line of the body. So that is what I'm doing here. Okay, let me do some quick math here. Let's see, I've got a little construction calculator here. So 3 inch 7/32 divide by 2. It's 1 5/8 according to that thing. So let's go ahead and set this guy at 1 5/8. 1 5/8 right there. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. As accurately as I possibly can. Set the center point there. Give myself a little mark right there. That's that one. Get back in my center hole. Mark that guy right there. Okay, we're going to drill that into a test piece and check that post spacing when it's all said and done. But I'll tell you what it could do. Let's go to 3 and 7/32 right there to just check ourselves. See how we did. There we go. That looks good. All right, so I'm happy with that. So now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to draw, just so I don't lose them, circle, circle, bam. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to clear all this stuff off here because now we get to start messing with some of the fun stuff, which is coming up with the shape of the body. So I'm going to clear this off and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've got the body template number 1 we're going to follow. And I've got my center line on here, and I've got my, I got my 17th fret marked right there. And because it's going to land somewhere close to that with this particular shape. Let me see, let me get my center lines lined up. Right there. Right there. Okay, let me move it down a little bit so this top pickup hits. Yeah, I'm right in there about the 16 and a half fret spot, just in between 16 and 17. So that looks about right to me. I've got good placement on my neck pickup. So, okay, so that's good. So that's lined up at center. I'm going to go ahead and lightly trace this. Because remember, I'm going to use a combination of this template and another one. And of course, if you're going completely from scratch with drawing a guitar body, you can pretty much pick whatever you want. I'll tell you, as long as you keep proper proportions. You get too far outside of a normal body proportions, then it starts getting really ugly really quick. So I try to stick with normal, like when I designed this body, this was completely from scratch. You may think it's ugly, but I kind of like it. But it does fit normal proportions. Like this width here is very standard on electric guitars. The length, this is a little bit longer. This is maybe a ½ inch longer, but that's because this is a completely rounded bottom and it doesn't, most of them flatten off. This width is very close to being normal. This width up here is very close to being normal. The height of the shoulder is very close. I have a steeper angle coming down. But if you understand what I'm saying, it follows general proportions of your standard guitars, which were developed to where they are today because they've been pleasing to the eye. So we want to keep those proportions about right. So that's what I'm trying to do. So you can pretty much do what you want to do, keeping in mind there's certain things you're going to have, like space down here for your controls. Going to have a place here to have your arm on it. A lot of folks, they like to cut a little notch in the bottom for to rest it on your knee, depending on your playing style. So anyway, but this is how I'm going to come up with this next shape. So let me go around it again because I did so much talking. I want to make sure I got everything. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. So that's the top, and this I want to use kind of from midway and up. I like this top. I like the sharp corners and everything. Now, this is my bottom I'm going to use. So I'm going to set this roughly in the same general place. Let's see here. I'm going to bring that down a tad. That's basically the bridge location there. See, that's a lot shorter, but that would come up. That would be roughly the, I don't want to take that much off the bottom. Let me come down a little bit. Let me start maybe about here. Let me just, I'm going to lightly trace this lower bout and kind of see where we hit. So I'm probably, I don't know, almost an inch shorter than that guy. Let me get my center lines right so I could, let me just, like I said, lightly trace this. Just kind of see where that brings me. Okay, so I'm actually very close. This one's about a ½ inch away and that one's actually touching right there. So I'm not sure that I like that though. I'm trying to do this without getting my big fat head in the way. That's still touching. I dropped it a little bit. Let me try this one here. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just play with this a little bit and see what we come up with. So I'm taking away the outer. Actually, I erased the wrong doggone one. Okay. Let's take this all out of here. I'm gonna back up. Okay, let's try this again. So I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna go, let's see, there. Center line there, center line there. That looks pretty good. I'm somewhere around a ½ inch up. I'm going to trace this one more time. Went and traced it twice and didn't, and then I erased the one I wanted to keep. So, okay. So here we are again. Okay, I think that could look kind of cool. Let's do a little more erasing right here. Now I'm going to erase the bottom of the first template to see what we're, kind of get a better look at what we're doing. I like the roundness of the PRS template on the bottom. The way it's kind of has a somewhat of a squished in bottom a little bit. Let's see, am I doing the right one? Yeah. And it's a little bit rounder here. See, it was a little bit bigger than mine. So it's almost more of an elliptical shape than it is a circle. Because that first one I drew, that was a circle. That's a portion of a circle. So, okay. So let me connect these guys. Let me get my French deal here. My French curve. Right about there. So that line comes through there. Let's see if I can do the same thing over here. That one already crossed over. I just want to extend it. Okay. Okay, I think I'm liking that. Let me see what this overall length is of the body. My bodies are usually 18, 19 inches somewhere in there. So this is 17. So that's certainly normal. This PRS is probably 17 and a half. Okay. So I like that. I think I like that. Let me get these guys back down out of here. Let me erase this guy. I'll tell you, the most subtle changes everything. You don't have to do big drastic things on guitar bodies. Sometimes the most subtle changes, like changing this from, let's see here, from an actual section circle bottom to one that's kind of a fat bottom, so to speak. So sometimes that can change the whole look of a guitar. And gosh, I think I kind of like that. I was not expecting to hit that so quickly. It almost has a, almost has the appearance of almost a violin bottom to me or something. I don't know, but I kind of like that. Let me turn this off a second. I'm going to look at it for a little bit. Now, of course, actually before I do that, this is going to get a carved top on it. So my top is going to be probably 3/4 of an inch thick. And I intend to do a fairly drastic bell carve coming up. I'll probably come from the edge of the guitar and actually dip into the top a little bit and then rise up, and it'll all kind of come up to focus. This will be the high spot, of course, right in here. And I'll have, you know, fairly steep contours coming up on the two inset portions. Something like so. But kind of think I'm liking it. Now let me see, I'm on my graph paper. So this one, these two join right here on this line, and these two join actually just above that. So that's something I may want to address. I think I may want to see if I can't shift this around a little bit. These things do not have to be totally symmetrical, but at the same time, it wouldn't bother me if it was. That's actually just below that line. Let's see what it looks like if I did that right there. I actually changed that a little bit too. Okay. Now those are symmetrical. Let's see what kind of distance I have from my end of the tailpiece. About 5 3/4 of the center, so I'll wind up with about a 5 and a 5 1/2 here exposed at the bottom. I think that sounds right to me. I don't know. What do y'all think? I think it's pretty cool looking. I really do. I think it's pretty cool looking. Well guys, I guess we'll cut it off about there. These videos get awfully long, but you know, when I'm trying to show all the detail and stuff, it just takes time to get into that, and I don't want to break it up and you know, cross over different steps of the building process of the guitar. Anyway, I hope you all dug it. I hope you got something out of it, and I'm enjoying doing it. Now, if you come back next week, we're going to be working on basically the profile of the body, the neck, break angle, headstock angle, all that kind of stuff. We're going to get the bridge placement correct, string height, and all that kind of thing. We're getting all into that next week, and then we'll be on to building templates. Anyway, I hope you all have a great week. God bless you, and we'll see you all in the next one.